Hello, Internet, and welcome to my review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 90. When we last left our heroes, Kirara is really bad at being a jailer or whatever, and leaves Boruto and Sarada, right, as she's about to have them kill each other, which gives Sarada enough time to free herself. Again, still not a big fan of the way that all turned out. Um, but then Mitsuki bearing the heart to Ku to give Ku a new lease on life. Turns out the heart is actually just like a writhing mass of snakes, and Mitsuki stabs Ku or punches Ku through the chest, revealing that he was on our side all along. And that's kind of where we open tonight, with Mitsuki on our side, Ku severely wounded physically, Sekiei severely wounded emotionally, and Kirara just kind of looking to redeem herself after what happened last week. And so this episode can be pretty easily divided into two halves, the Kirara half and the Sekiei half. The Kirara half is first, so we're going to focus on that first. So Kirara's giant Akuta golem is a really good step in, like, redeeming her. Not, like, as a person, but, like, as a character in the show. I really, really love the golem. Like, it has this weird, like, janky, not quite natural movement that, like, reminds you, oh yeah, this is a giant rock, given life. It's not moving in a natural way. And honestly, the whole fight between Garaga and the golem is super cool. It's pretty short. It's a cool, like, Clash of the Titans kind of deal, as they both kind of, like, go at each other, leading to, in the end, Garaga crushing the Titan with his, like, whole body, and the rubble falls on Kirara, killing her. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Before we really start to talk about Kirara's death, we need to talk about Garaga for a little bit. So at this point in the arc, we kind of need to ask ourselves, what's going to happen to Garaga at the end of this? After what he says about deciding to trust humans for now, he might just end up staying with Boruto at the end of this. Especially, like, which is it's probably the first huge shift the anime has done. Given that Boruto has no summon in the manga, him having a giant red snake is certainly a shift. Not so much in his character, but in his skill set. It'll probably change how he deals with fights that he has later. And given that I'm a big fan of the strategy behind his later manga fights, I'm a little bit nervous about him just having a giant fuck-all snake that he can use to, like, smush people. But we'll see what goes on with that. I will say, if Garaga does end up going back with Boruto, it will give us more time to find out what was up with his master, because as you will recall back during Garaga's flashback, way back in, like, 75 or so, when we saw Garaga's master betray him, it didn't really look like he was in the right headspace. He looked like some kind of hypnotized to me, but I don't know. Or none of this might matter, and he'll just go back home to Ryuji Cave. Or they might kill him off, which after this episode I highly doubt will happen, but it's still technically a possibility. They did kill off Akun as a way to clear up Akun's character and not have to deal with him in later arcs. Though Akun kind of existed in order to die in a way. As horrifyingly sad as Akun's death was, he kind of exists. Like, he was there to ring an emotional connection and then to die and to show Inojin, like, dealing with that death. Garaga is not Akun. Garaga has more of his own personality. Also, Garaga dying, I don't think would really develop Boruto all that much, so I don't think they're gonna kill Garaga off. I don't know what they're gonna do with him, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna be safe. Also on Garaga, his super quick transition back to, like, you're all trash, or from you're all trash back to I'm gonna trust humans, back to I'm gonna trust humans again, seems just a little fast. Like, we have all the way back since, like, Garaga's introduction. He's linked, Mitsuki's deceit as the sign that, like because Mitsuki betrayed you, that's just what all humans are like. And him seeing Mitsuki was actually, like, fooling the Fabrications. It's I guess it shows that humans aren't trash to Garga, are not trash to Garga. But even with that, it still feels a little sudden. I don't know. Um, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Kirara's death. So I really like the little Sarada versus Kirara bit, as like Kirara tries to use her Genjutsu on Sarada, only to find out that it was an illusion created by the Sharingan, allowing Sarada to get some cool lightning style jutsu out on Kirara, which doesn't immediately kill her. The Akuta Golem does that, as its debris falls on her as she's too weak to move, but it does leave her too weak to move. I feel like all of Kirara's like ramblings about prettiness don't really amount to much in the same way that like Kokio's discussions of the heart did. Her death was definitely the least impactful and probably the worst of the fabrication deaths. Though that's a fairly high bar though. The fabrication deaths have all been pretty good. We'll get to the last one, or the fourth one, in a little bit. There is still Ku to worry about. I'm not sure he's gonna die, actually, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, so also this episode still doesn't quite how do I word this? Given what we know she can do after last episode, this episode doesn't really give a good enough reason as to why she doesn't just Genjutsu Boruto and Sarada immediately. In the square, in the city when she finds them, and then just like closes both of their eyes and has the Akuta just like maul them. You know, that would have worked much easier. And so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the Kirara half as a whole. While it does improve on Kirara's character this episode, it can't quite shake away the shadow of what happened last week. Kirara is definitely the weakest. The worst written of the fabrications. She's the least interesting. She's the most dealing with bullshit. I'm not a big Kirara fan. But now for the main event, Mitsuki and Sekiei. This episode does a really good job of showing how opposite they are at the moment. You know, Mitsuki desperately wants to stop the fight. He wants Sekiei to live. He wants to take Sekiei to Orochimaru to give him a heart, which I'm a tad concerned about, given that Mitsuki seems to be opposed to killing people, right? But he's fine with taking the fabrications to Orochimaru, who almost certainly killed somebody to give Mitsuki his heart. Alright, like, can we all agree on that? Mitsuki's heart came from a person, Orochimaru killed that person and gave Mitsuki the heart. He probably has, it might be a, like, years old heart that he had back in his evil days, but Mitsuki still has some dead person's heart. But anyway, Mitsuki's trying to stop the fight, and Sekiei is, like, too enraged by Mitsuki's betrayal to really, like, care. So they're standing there, you know, Mitsuki wanting to stop the fight, and Mitsuki refusing to fight, and Sekiei forcing him to fight, or trying to force him to fight, and Sekiei succeeds in forcing him to fight by threatening to kill Boruto. So that leads to their fairly brief fight. Luckily for Mitsuki, his lightning style makes him naturally, like, skilled again, or naturally, like, able to nullify Earth-style jutsu, as he uses fairly quickly on the exploding clay. I'm a little curious as to why he doesn't do that immediately, but whatever. And before we get to the big Mitsuki and Sekiei moment, after Mitsuki wins the fight, we need to talk about Ku. Real briefly, I'm disappointed that Ku killed the doctor. It's like, sure, Ku needed some kind of power-up before the big final battle. That was kind of a given. You know, it was a given that he'd get a heart, so that he can be stronger he can be stronger so that our final boss is not, like, on the verge of death like Kako was, like Kokio was, like Kirara was, like Sekiei was. You know, we need someone who we can't just, like, time stall into nothingness. But the doctor's such a random character. You know, he was just there, he was sinister, he, like, popped up for Onoki, no backstory given. You know, and not to mention he has access to the white Zetsus. You know, I thought for sure there had to be something more going on with him. And maybe there is. Maybe there's a whole organization of secret doctors. Maybe he's secretly related to a certain manga organization that will be revealed probably soon-ish. I'm imagining we're gonna get to the manga in April. That sounds about that's when we got to the tuning exams, and it sounds like a good time for Mujina. That's besides the point. Anyway, maybe we'll find out more about the Doctor. Maybe not though. And then we have to get to Sekiei. Oh boy, Sekiei. I've said it all throughout my videos, this arc. Sekiei and Mitsuki's friendship has been consistently the greatest thing this arc has done. And we definitely see that here. You know, given how close Mitsuki's been to Sekiei, we can, truly believe that Mitsuki does not want to fight him at all. He wants the fight to end, but Sekiei is just too blinded by rage to be able to stop the fight, and much like Kako before him, his inability to stop the fight and just, talk it out, his insistence that he has to keep going, is what kills him in the end. That final scene with Mitsuki and Sekiei, as Sekiei raises his fist to fist bump Mitsuki, and Mitsuki goes to fist bump him back right as Sekiei's fist crumbles. Man. Yeah. Sekiei is dead. And we see Boruto and Sarada approaching Ku's. I'm assuming that's the hideout. I don't know if we've really seen it from the outside, but it's Ku. It's where Ku is after killing the Doctor. And Mitsuki shows up, back in his normal clothes. Doesn't seem particularly sad for Sekiei. And I'm a little sad. Well, we see after Sekiei dies, the way Mitsuki's drawn is clear that he's feeling something. He's, definitely upset by this in a very Mitsuki way. But I do wish we would just, I wish that Mitsuki would let himself feel Sekiei's death. Just, that we could witness that kind of catharsis. But not showing anything and acting like everything is alright is very much in line with Mitsuki's character. And it does leave a lot more development for him down the line. He's not going to be a fully developed character after all this. But anyway, their reunion after Team 7's respective battles is cut short by Ku with a heart, ready for the final battle. And that's where we leave off for what I think is the penultimate episode of the Mitsuki arc. So this was a wild ride of an episode. Well, the first half was definitely the wilder one, with the giant Akuta Golem and the return of Garaga. That half was still kind of bogged down by the fact that we know Kirara can do better than what she did. You know, she could have just frozen them instantly, closed their eyes, and had the Akuta maul them. Maybe she could have done that, and then Garaga would have showed up, and then no, but Boruto needed to use the jutsu. I don't know. I feel like the writers kind of backed themselves into a corner with Kirara. And they did the best they could, so I get that. But the second half was the much better half. Just by, the relationship that we've seen slowly but surely built up between Mitsuki and Sekiei, and seeing Sekiei die. I don't think it tops Akun's death, and I think not getting to really see Mitsuki feel Sekiei's death is surely a part of that. But it's still a good send-off for a great relationship. And I'm sad to see Sekiei go. I knew Sekiei... We all knew Sekiei was going to die, let's be honest. Sekiei was written for death pretty much by the time he showed up. But for one thing, I thought Sekiei was going to die, realizing the error of Ku's ways and, protecting Mitsuki. I did not expect it to go down like this. But speaking of people I think are going to die for the greater good, realizing the error of their ways, Onoki's coming to the final battle. And Onoki is probably going to die next week. But we'll have to find out next time on the final battle. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass and I'll see you in the future. Bye!